Guys, how's it going? My name is Liza. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing a book haul. So I got a ton of books during Christmas and during my birthday, which was in January, and I just haven't really had a chance to be able to sit down and talk to you guys about them. So I have this big pile of books next to me right now. There's probably about 10 right now. Most of them are graphic novels, and it's going to be a little bit intimidating to get through all of them, but we're going to give it our best shot anyway. So the first book that I want to talk about is a graphic novel by Guy Dezille, and it's called Pong Yang, and it's about the story of this illustrator who goes into North Korea, and he's not allowed to take any pictures or anything of that nature, but he has a really good visual memory, and so what he does is he comes back to America and he tells us the story of what it was like being in North Korea and what the rules were and what his overall experience was on the trip. This is technically, I guess, a nonfiction. I guess technically it would be called an autobiography or a memoir, but I found this really fascinating. I've always been fascinated by North Korea and its government and how it works, and so I thought that this would give me some insight into the country. Now this next book, I've already read the first volume too, and I actually got volume 4 because I wanted to continue reading it, and that is Kobato. I have seen some of the anime and it's really cute. It's about the story of two nerds who get together and they're kind of on different ends of the spectrum. One of them is really into like manga and Japanese culture, and the other one is really into video games. And they have totally different attitudes about how they approach it. The girl is very closeted. She doesn't want anybody to know that she's a nerd, and the guy is just like, I don't care. Anyway, what happens is they end up deciding to date because the girl has had so many different experiences where guys have broken up with her when they found out that she was an otaku. So it's really sweet. It's definitely a comedy. I've really been enjoying it, and I can't wait to get to volume 4. So the next series that I want to talk about is another manga series, and I got 2 books in this one, and that is Kobato by Clamp. I got volume 2 and volume 3. And what inspired me to get this was I really like Cardcaptor Sakura, and I really like Clamp as a mangaka group. And I just read, I think, their short story work called The One I Love, and I saw that this was being turned specifically into an anime, and I really wanted to read the manga before I watched the anime, and so I've decided to start picking this up. I've already read volume 1 of Kobato, and it's actually a really interesting story that I didn't expect to like as much as I do. It's about this girl, and she has this little jar, and she has to go through on Earth and fill it up with, like, wounded hearts. So anybody that's hurting, she has to find a way to make them feel better. And when she does that, then, like, I guess, like, the heart will go into the jar, and she'll end up getting more and more points. And then once she reaches the max amount of points, she's able to get a wish. And you're not entirely sure throughout the series whether she's human or not. She's followed around by this little dog, and he seems to be her guardian, so there's definitely some like magical aspects of it, and so you have this sense that maybe she's not human, but anyway, it's been really good. I've really been enjoying it. It's definitely more comical than some of their other works, but I think that overall it's going to be really good, and I want to continue picking up the rest of the series. Alright, now the next one is going to actually be a comic series, and we're going to go really dark here. So, I read the first volume of this, or I got halfway through the first volume of this series, and I decided that I really liked it, and I didn't want to finish the first volume because I knew that if I did, then I would have to wait for the second volume and the third volume, and then I would forget the story. So I ended up picking up the next 2 volumes so that I could finish the first one, and that series is called The Beauty. Now, y'all can tell this is a pretty scary series. This series follows the story of a detective, and he starts getting these cases that have to do with a disease called the beauty. Now, what the beauty is it's a disease that's willingly ingested by people in this world, and what it does is it makes them beautiful. So the story follows this detective, and he's gotten this massive influx of cases from people who have ingested the beauty, and a few years later they end up like dying on air, or they end up dying these horrendous deaths, and they're starting to see these like burn up corpses littered throughout the city, and they're trying to figure out how the beauty is connected with these deaths and why this is happening. And it's so fascinating. I got this recommended to me when I went to a comic shop in Indiana, and I've been really interested in the concept of it, and I really want to continue reading it. So it's been really good so far. I've really enjoyed it. Definitely along the line of horror, so I wouldn't recommend it if you're younger, but I have been really liking it, and it's a really good adult series. The next book I want to talk about is called Cheshire Crossing, and this is a book that I got from my friend for my birthday, who I'm buddy reading Snowflower and the Secret Fan with, and she thought that I would really like this because it's illustrated by Sarah Anderson, and you guys know that I really like Sarah's scribbles, so she decided to go ahead and pick this up for me, which I really appreciate. I think it's so cute that like she thought about this illustrator that I really like, and she went out and put in the effort to find more books by that illustrator. So Sarah Anderson illustrated this, and then the actual author is Andy Ware. And it follows the story of these three girls with superpowers, and they go to this boarding school. And I think like something about the boarding school is evil. The back of the book talks about how they have to avoid adults because adults are very meddling and troublesome. So it's definitely a kid's book, but I'm really excited to get into it and read it. It's kind of giving me like the kid version of X-Men vibes. So I can't wait to dive into it and tell you guys what I think once I finish reading it. Now, this next book I actually got on my own. I saw this at Target, and I kind of started flipping out. So you guys know that I have an anxiety disorder, and it's always been kind of a difficult thing for me to do things because of my anxiety. I have OCD, and it's better controlled now, but when I was younger, it was a difficult disorder to have because I had intrusive thoughts and things of that nature. So when I saw this book, I kind of started flipping out because I haven't seen any OCD representation pretty well my entire life. I haven't seen TV shows about it. I haven't seen books about it. I think that the first book that I actually saw that had any kind of OCD representation was John Green's Turtles All the Way Down, and I never actually picked up that book to read it. But as far as I know, that's the only book that has any kind of OCD representation. So you guys can understand how excited I got when I first saw this book. So this book is Everything is an Emergency, and it's by Jason Adams Kazakhstein. I'm probably butchering that name, but I'll have it in the link below with all the other books that I've done in this video, so you guys can find him and look at all of his works. But anyway, when I first saw this at Target, I was super excited. I didn't know that, well, I knew that other people had OCD, but I didn't think that anybody would make an illustrated memoir on it. And I got really excited, and I basically begged my husband to get it and have it be part of my birthday gifts. So I have been sitting on this book, and I've been wanting to read it for quite some time, but I know that I want to make a reading vlog on it, like just specifically reading this book, just because I think that there's going to be a lot to unload with it with me. I think that I'm going to relate to it a lot, and so I kind of wanted to do a video that surrounds just this book and nothing else. So I'm super excited to do that in the future, and I'm super excited to get into this book, and I'll let you guys know when I start reading it. Now, this next book also goes through the themes of anxiety, and I've actually already read it, and I really enjoyed it. I believe that I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and that book is The Warrior's Guide to Life by Gim McCarroll, and this was so good. I liked this book so much that I actually bought it for my friend so that we could buddy read it together. And she finished it within a day, and I finished it within like probably a few days, give or take. But we both love this so much because we both have anxiety, and we could just relate so well to some of the comics in this. This book definitely approaches anxiety and just thought spirals and panic attacks and just like all that kind of stuff. And it does it in a way that's really funny, but it's not offensive. So I had so much fun reading this. At some point I'll probably do a book review on it, but we'll see. So anyway, that's it for this book haul. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.